How's it going, everybody? Chris from CDC Flips here, back with another video on the '09 Jaguar XF. Today, I'm going to address an issue that I've been trying to avoid for a while, and that is changing the power steering fluid out that I inadvertently put brake fluid in. I also suspect that this may be where my transmission fluid leak was coming from, as opposed to the cooler lines. And I'll show you that here in a minute. So, without further ado, let's go. So I bought some new ramps at Harbor Freight, and I don't know if you guys could see when I pulled it in, but obviously I'm way off on this side, but I'm not moving it. I think it'll be fine. But if you saw it, you could have said something. Let's look at the other side and see how it looks. I mean, it's not as bad, but still bad. In any case, we're just going to go with it. So for those of you who don't know, there's the power steering fluid reservoir. I'm going to have to move the intake, or the air intake, and then the hoses are right down in there. Also, I'm going to try and see if I can get the bottom cover off, and if so, maybe I can get the bumper in place, and then I'll decide then whether I'm going to put it back on or not. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove, I may end up taking this off because I had this off once before, and when I went to put it back on, it was such a pain to try and fit it back in here the way without having to take this off and this section. Like originally I just popped this and took this part off, and then trying to put it back in was such a hassle. So I may end up having to take all of this off to get to it. All right, so at this point, I've gotten this removed. I can drain this. The issue I'm going to have, though, is with it being on the ramps, I can't turn the steering wheel side to side to try and push all of the fluid out of the steering. So I'm trying to decide how I want to go about this. Do I want to drain this, get as much of it out of here as I can, and then back it off so that I can then do the side to side or lock to lock to get the rest of it out? Or I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll work on trying to get that work on the bumper and stuff, try and get that taken care of, and then switch to doing this. I may leave this off just long enough to get it off the ramps so that I still have access to this. And then the problem I'm going to have is trying to route this hose down. I actually thought about taking you'll see if I have a nipple or like a union and some clear tubing, so that maybe I can run it over the side here rather than trying to run it down in there. And I got to clamp it off as well. should be fun. I'm sure it's going to make a huge mess that I will then have to clean up later. Okay, so unfortunately it's kind of hard to see under here. I'm trying to get the camera underneath here, but there's a T30 Torx bits or Torx screws. There's 2 here in the corner, and then several across the front. There's also body panel push pins, but I think most of those I took out. So, and upon further inspection, I'm back to the theory that it's the cooler lines that are leaking, because there's a considerable amount of transmission fluid on the ground here, and it's not any more wet around where the power steering lines are. So, it is what it is. So I'm going to finish taking these off, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I took a little detour. Just coming back, I decided to pull the bumper off. I could get it lined up and fit on the passenger side, but on the driver's side, it didn't want to hold in there. And when I looked at this, I realized that it looks like they had maybe JB welded it or some kind of epoxy or cement or something to hold this on there. And since I already have this piece, when I replaced the other one, I decided I'd go ahead and replace this. So, in case you need to do this, there's 3 bolts in here, and I'm using a 5/16 for that. And then you've got 1, 2, 3 bolts on the inner wheel well, and those let's see. Okay, so I used a 5/16 for the ones on the inside. Or no, hang on. Scratch that. I used a 10 millimeter for the 3 bolts on the inside. 5/16 for these ones inside the wheel well. Then I can at least back these out far enough to where I can get them out by hand. I think the one that's going to be the biggest problem is going to be the one right here. So now we'll try putting this back up here and see if that made any difference. Probably not. I'm sure it was a huge waste of my time and yours. So for that, I apologize. Could actually probably drive it like this now. Not having to worry. But I still need to figure out some way to secure the uh, cover underneath, because I do believe that that cover helps support this front bumper. Yeah, so for a change, something finally actually worked out the way I planned it. And that means I should probably stop the video now, because it's all downhill from here, right? Figured I'd go ahead and clean this off while I have it off. Okay, so this is what I'm going to try and do. I've got a pump in here to suction all of the fluid that's in the reservoir out, but I can't. It's not going to be able to get what's in the rest of the plumbing. Uh, you know, so I'm going to try to drain this and then unhook well, I'll probably drain this and then back it off the ramps, so that one, I can clean up the mess that's underneath the car, but also so that way I can turn the wheels lock to lock to drain the rest of this. I haven't quite figured out exactly how I'm gonna go from there. But I mean, worst case scenario is that oh, why is this loose? Worst case scenario is that I fill this back up with power steering fluid, and come back to it at another day. So it is what it is. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This stuff's pretty nasty. I mean, if you could, I don't know if you was able to see it when it came out, but I mean, it's dark. So I mean, maybe that's the brake fluid I put in there. I don't think it is, because from what I understand, brake fluid is heavier than transmission fluid. So I would think that if it's heavier, it would sink to the bottom of the reservoir, and then as soon as I turn the wheel, it would immediately suck the brake fluid down into the steering rack. I could be wrong, but man, yeah, and it don't smell good either. So it probably needed to be replaced anyway, even if I hadn't accidentally put that in there. Oh shit. Well, that's good. I just lost the plastic tube down in there. The perils of a DIY. Like, it got sucked down into the line. I wouldn't have thought that it would do that, but It sure looks like that's what's it right there. I guess it created so much suction or back pressure that it just pulled it right down in there. And unfortunately, it's not like you can take this apart, which means now what I have to do is I have to unhook both lines and try to minimize the mess as much as possible. Great. And I think the one in the front is the return line, and the one in the back is the feed. So remember when I said earlier it was going to go downhill from there? Told you. Oh, yes. All right. Now, not how I was planning on going about this, but it is what it is, and that's where we're at. So now, know not to do that again. So I just got some items from Amazon for a future video. I've got a tear in the driver's seat that I'm going to repair, and then I'm going to dye the seat, the the armrest pad, and the door armrest. I'm going to dye all those so that make it look a little better. And so, but this is what's in here is the some leather cleaner and conditioner, the leather glue, and then I had to buy like a leather. I just wanted a piece of fabric that I could put underneath, like inside of the seat, to glue the two sides of the leather on and then glue it together, because that's what the video said to do. I could not find that fabric, like the fabric I was looking for. I could not find it anywhere except overseas, and it was going to cost, maybe $7 or $8 for the fabric, which is just, I need like a 2-inch by 2-inch piece, and then it was going to cost $18 to have it shipped international. So I was like, no, let me see what else I can find. And it turns out that JB Weld makes a leather repair kit, and I can't remember what, I think this might be 3M. I think, I don't remember, I'll have to look. But basically, I just bought it for the fabric. I mean, it was like $11. So I bought that for the fabric. I bought separate, because I wanted a water-based adhesive. And then so I got the leather glue, leather conditioner and cleaner, and a repair kit. So if you're interested in seeing that, that'll be coming up, probably in the next couple of videos or so. I will try. See if this makes a difference. Okay, so here's where we're at this point. So I ended up using that the piece that I lost in the other hose. I decided to repurpose it to give me a little bit more length on the return line, because I think I might have some clear tubing around here. I have no idea where it's at, and even if I found it, I don't think I have a union to mate the two together. And it just so happened that that plastic piece fit tight inside that hose, so that's what I went with. I didn't want to start the car and use the power steering to do it. I mean, two reasons. One, the hose is precariously close to the alternator. I think that might be. I'm not sure, but anyway, it's real close to spinny parts, and so I don't want it rubbing or causing any other damage. Two, as we've already established, I'd have to put all this stuff back in to get it to run. So I was like, okay, well, instead of doing that, I'm just going to see if I can turn it manually. And so I've already done it a few times, and I'm not sure if all of it's come out yet or not. So I'm probably going to do it a few more times. And then, then I think I'm going to call it good and hook this back up and start filling it back up. yeah, so here's where it stands. I tried, going lock to lock without running the engine, but nothing seems, as far as I can tell, nothing is coming out, and I can't run it without putting everything back in it. I mean, maybe I should have got underneath and disconnected the return line from the rack. Maybe that would have been better. But I think at this point, I'm just going to button it back up and fill it back up. And, I mean, I really hate to do that because, if that brake fluid is sitting down in the rack, then it's just going to stay there. When I go to, it's not like it's going to get pumped up in the reservoir and stay there. No, it's going to just keep sitting probably in the rack. I mean, maybe if I drove it around, then maybe, but I can't drive it. I don't have tags on it, and I don't think it'd pass safety at this point. So I'd have to get a safety and emissions first before I could even get tags on it to even be able to drive it. And then, then maybe I, could run it for a little while, for a few miles, and then repeat the process and do that a few times and probably get most of it out of there. It's just at this point I can't think of any way that I'm going to be able to get this out. All right, so I got everything put back together. This is full. Now I'm going to start it. Hopefully it runs and this doesn't start leaking. And I'll work the power steering, back and forth. I need to take this back off. And then we'll see if it changes, see what happens. So I think the only thing left now is to get the that undercover back on, because I don't know if it's forward assist parking sensors or what. There's a couple of things that are just hanging, and I can't be moving it around too much with those because they're just going to be dragging the ground. So I guess I'll put that back on there. I would think that those are supposed to be attached somewhere, but where, I have no idea. I won't have you sit through that So with that, I think I'm going to call this video done. And if you like what you see, then I hope to see you in the next one. Everybody take care. Bye.